Now, in today's story, we've got a special animal, a donkey. And here's a thing you can do while I'm reading out the story for you. When you hear the word donkey, you could make an eat-all sound a bit like this. So donkey appears quite a lot. So when you hear the word donkey, let's get your best eat-all noises. Now, there was once a man whose name was Balaam. And Balaam was a very clever man and was really rather popular. Because one day a nearby king sent all his best dressed people in their fancy cars with their fancy ties and their fancy hats to ask Balaam to come and see the king, because the king needed to ask something very important. Now, Balaam knew he shouldn't go, but he really wanted to make the king happy because, well, Balaam wasn't very well off at all. He had to travel everywhere by donkey. And Balaam had his donkey equipped with the latest solar-powered Sat Nav, which gave Balaam a lot more time to chat to all his friends on his tablet because it told his donkey where to travel. This meant that Balaam could spend lots of time staring at the screen on his tablet, chatting away on Twitter and Facebook. Balaam hoped that the king might reward him with a proper way to get about, one with 4 wheels and an engine. So, with a loud mush, Balaam and his donkey got on their way. Now, God really liked Balaam and his donkey, and really wanted Balaam not to go. But Balaam was ignoring God, and so God dispatched one of his bestest angels to help out. Now, Balaam's sat-nav was very good, and it had all sorts of things it could avoid, but not this. Because in front of Balaam and donkey, once they got past rather a lot of suddenly appearing signs that said, "Stop! Danger ahead! Make a U-turn!" was an angel in the middle of the road with his sword drawn. And then a rather unexpected chain of events began. Balaam's sat-nav told them to carry on straight ahead. Balaam's tablet bleeped with his latest tweet going viral, and so Balaam told his donkey to mush. But Balaam's donkey, whose name actually was not Donkey at all, but Mr. Donkey, because Donkey was just his younger brother. Well, Mr. Donkey heard Balaam, saw the angel with his sword, heard the sat-nav, and decided perhaps rather wisely that he needed his owner to get his head out of the tablet before he lost it completely and to turn around. Mr. Donkey began to come off the road through a nearby field because he decided the road really wasn't a very nice place to be right now. The angel, rather annoyed, watched as they started to go around him, and Balaam, feeling the bumps from the rough field, was very unhappy. He blamed his donkey for being silly, said "bad donkey," and sprayed water at his face and ordered them back on the road. The angel, realising the road was actually rather wide, decided to jump on his scooter and went as fast as he could push his legs to a spot where the road narrowed. As Mr. Donkey and Balaam got closer to the angel again with his sword in his hand, Mr. Donkey decided that a close shave was not what he fancied right now, so he started to try and squeeze past the angel through another field and through some low-hanging trees. Balaam was not amused. He was right there in the middle of shouting at the sat-nav for being so useless when a tree branch smacked him in the face. Rubbing his sore nose, he went to squirt some more water at Donkey's face while shouting even more angrily at his sat-nav for not knowing what it was doing. And then everything changed. Mr. Donkey really didn't like water being sprayed in his face, especially when he was trying to be so kind and helpful and protect his master. And God needed to get Balaam's attention, so he gave Mr. Donkey a very special gift. And Mr. Donkey lost no time in using this newfound skill. "What have I done to you that deserves you spraying water in my face so many times for being naughty?" Mr. Donkey asked Balaam. Now, Balaam had never heard a real donkey talk. He's seen the film, but he's never seen a real one talk. And he's so upset about the branch hitting him in the face, he doesn't even notice that Mr. Donkey is speaking to him. But he shouts back, "You have made me look like a fool. If I had an eBay account, I'd put you straight on there to get rid of you. Or, better still, I'll put you on Gumtree, free to a good home." "But I am the same donkey you have ridden all of your life, Mr. Donkey," answered. "Have I ever done anything like this before?" "No," Balaam admitted. Then the Lord helped Balaam see what was ahead of him. Suddenly, Balaam's shoulders started to sink. He saw the squirty bottle in his hands. He saw Mr. Donkey with a wet face, and the tough-looking angel in the middle of the road with his sword drawn in his hand. It was about this time that the angel decided it was time to have a cup of tea and chat with Balaam, and some sugar cubes for Mr. Donkey, who has been so very helpful. "So," began the angel, "why did you spray your donkey?" "That's Mr. Donkey," said Mr. Donkey, hoping he could use this whole speaking thing a lot longer yet. It was very useful. "Sorry," said the angel. Why did you spray Mr. Donkey so many times?" "Look, I've come to stop you because this road gets very dangerous ahead, and God doesn't want you to get hurt." Balaam looked at his donkey, looked at the angel, said sorry to both, switched his tablet to silent, and promises to be much more kind to his donkey, and listen to God better in the future, and maybe use his tablet a bit less. The angel puts his sword away. The stop signs suddenly disappear, and Balaam, Mr. Donkey, and the angel went to a pizza shop for some lunch and a long chat.